The investigators that interviewed him this morning, and they got that impression that, yes, he understood the gravity of it, and he was pretty much fed up and kind of at the end of his rope, and yesterday was a really bad day for him, and this is what he did.
Remorseful?
I'm not going to go to, I don't know if he was remorseful or not.
He's a pretty young guy.
This is a sheriff's officer talking about the murderer, Robert Aaron Long, and describing him as having a bad day. And this was at the press conference that took place just a few moments ago. And I want to play a couple of more clips because this was not even the worst part of it. This was just actually, I want you to take a listen into how white supremacists, even murderers, are protected in this system despite the gravity of what they've done. The first officer described him as having a bad day. Listen to this next one because it is just as offensive.
We did interview him last night. He is currently in our facility at the Cherokee County Adult Detention Center. We were able to interview him with the Atlanta Police Department and the FBI. He made indicators that he has some issues, potentially sexual addiction, and may have frequented some of these places in the past. But as the chief indicated, it's still early on. We still have a lot of things to process, and so he should be at an arraignment tomorrow at some time early morning.
He had issues, and he had a sexual addiction, right? So already this system is starting to craft the narrative to label him as some type of person with mental issues. Because every time a white person commits these type of terrorist acts, they are always lumped together and blamed on mental health, vilifying the mental health community, right? And now they're also making excuses, any excuse they possibly can to excuse or to justify or to separate it. More importantly, they're trying to separate it from the fact that this was a hate crime. Listen to this next clip.
So are you saying, when you talk to the suspect, he says he has a sexual addiction issue, but I'm sure you asked him, was this racially motivated? Was this racially motivated?
As the chief indicated, it's still early, but the indicators right now are it may not be. It may be targets of opportunity. Again, we believe that he frequented these places in the past, and may have been lashing out, and part of that is in your media packet as well.
But the working theory is a sexual addiction issue rather than a racial profile.
During our interviews, we asked that specific question, and that did not appear to be the motive for.
Oh, so you're trying to tell me that a racist doesn't want to claim that he's a racist, and so he's going to blame it on sexual addiction, as though sexual addiction or whatever or sexual domination is not a part of white supremacy itself. There's a tweet I want to share with you later on that actually unpacks that way better than I'm qualified to unpack it. But the absurdity of it, the sheer absurdity of it, for them to take him at his word, despite the fact that 8 people were killed, 6 of whom were Asian women, in a time when this country has seen an uptick in violence against Asian people in this country, specifically because of the way this political system, particularly Republican Party, conservatives, and Donald Trump, blamed the coronavirus on the entire Asian community. Keisha Lance Bottoms is the mayor of Atlanta, and she said it a little more directly. Listen in.
Obviously, whatever the motivation was for this guy, we know that many of the victims, the majority of the victims, were Asian. We also know that this is an issue that's happening across the country. It is unacceptable, it is hateful, and it has to stop.
Yeah. Period. No matter what and it's unbelievable. It's infuriating that they would take the word of a murderer and put it out into the national conversation as if it was fact, despite the facts at hand that he targeted Asian women who are simply trying to make a living to survive this oppressive capitalistic system that has no regard for who you are. It will just drain you. And then on top of that, to add insult to injury, that these were women trying to make a living to survive, you have this racist white supremacist come in and kill them. And now the system itself is trying to blame the fact that they were sex workers and that he had a sexual addiction, and that is the lens through which that we should understand it. And that's the lens that they give credibility to. That's the first thing that they say out of their mouths instead of the obvious evidence. I want to read you a tweet. Someone on Twitter by the name of Mean81. She said, he didn't have a sexual addiction. He had a racist sexualized fantasies about dominating Asian women. In other words, he had fantasies of white supremacy and acted on them. Name it. I've been trying to, I was thinking about this in today's episode, and I couldn't put it into words the way that she just put that into words. Because even a part of white supremacy is the domination of women's bodies and the fetishization of particular groups of women. And when you are unable to control and dominate someone that your society has been telling you, you are the superior race, you're white supreme, and you can't get what you want from them the way you want from them when you want it from them, it is a direct byproduct of white supremacy. And I don't care what he says. It was a sexual. No, he is a product of this system. And this system has told a person like him that he has the right to dominate someone else's body. And when he was no longer satisfied with that, he acted out on that itself. And he targeted a specific community. Call a thing a thing. This is racism. This is white supremacy. Solidarity with our Asian brothers and sisters. Trending on Twitter right now is hashtag Asian Lives Matter. Absolutely. Asian lives matter, and we stand with you in solidarity, and white supremacy must come down in this country. I don't care what it takes, how long it takes. White supremacy must be crushed.